So in this segment, I wanted to talk about how, according to Germany, I'm not going to be able to say this guy's name, Alexei Navalny, Russia's opposition leader, was poisoned with Novichok. That's the same poison that was used in the UK to poison Sergei and Yulia Skripal. And so we'll just remember those names quickly. Sergei and Yulia Skripal. It didn't actually kill them, and the thing I find really strange about this poisoning attack is if Putin wanted these guys killed, they would have been killed. Just like I think it was Litvinenko when he was killed with the poison, with that stuff that gave him cancer, that horrible situation he was in. So I find it strange they would use a poison that um, is like it just doesn't kill. So it's just bizarre to use that one. But the Russians do have what looks like a track record of using this stuff. So and this is Germany confirming it as well. And I'll go on to why I give Germany a lot more credibility than I would to other governments. So Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny was poisoned with Novichok Nova agent. Germany's government has said. It said toxicology tests at a military laboratory showed unequivocal proof of an agent from the Novichok group. Mr. Navalny was airlifted to Berlin for treatment after falling ill during a flight in Russia's Serbia region last month. He has been in a coma since. His team say he was poisoned on Vladimir Putin's orders. The Kremlin has dismissed the allegations, as they obviously would do. The German government said it condemned the attack in the strongest terms and called for Russia urgently to provide an explanation. It is disturbing. Is a disturbing development that Alexei Navalny was the victim of a chemical nerve agent in Russia. Chancellor Merkel said has met senior ministers to discuss the next steps. The statement said, so we'll see what happens with that, and I'll update you accordingly. The Kremlin said it had not received any information from Germany that Mr. Navalny had been poisoned using Novichok agent. Russia's TASS news agency reported. The German government said it would work to inform the EU and NATO of its findings. The federal government will discuss an appropriate joint response with the partners in the light of Russia's response. It said Mr. Navalny's wife, Yulia Navalny, said Russia's ambassador to Germany would also be informed of the findings. So this is about what is Novichok. It's not ultimately massively important. Like what it is specifically, but we know it's a type of poison. And so why I give Germany a lot of credit is Germany have lost a lot of money because of sanctions on Russia. And so it's in Germany's actual interest to have a good working relationship with Russia. Anyways, as I was saying, these are two countries, that do a lot of trade with each other. And so it's in Germany's best interest really to have a working relationship with Russia. And so here, this article from 2019, which talked about, the sanctions on Russia. So Berlin, Germany will try to protect German and European companies from potentially massive collateral damage if Washington levies further sanctions against Russia. Foreign Minister said. Mas speaking on Friday, a New Year reception of German Committee on East European Economic Relations on Industry said he expected a newly elected US Congress to move swiftly to bring in new sanctions against Moscow. Our aim is to reach an agreement with the US on sanctions and protect German and European companies from, in some cases, massive collateral damage. So what he's saying is these companies will be collateral damage in this because of the sanctions. Say, for example, if you're a company that makes German sausages, right, and you export to Russia, and now there's a sanction put on, German foods to Russia, you're going to be hit by that. And so what Germany are saying is we will do our best to protect these companies that are being impacted by this, probably by some sort of like a grant or something like that. So he did not give further details, but his remarks are likely to cheer German exporters hard hit by European Union and US sanctions imposed after Moscow invaded and annexed parts of Ukraine since 2014. So this has happened since 2014, and there have been sanctions on Russia from countries like Germany, I think EU countries, and also the US. And so it is actually in Germany's interest to have a working relationship with Russia. I have to stress this for trade reasons. So with Germany coming out here with the intel saying that this is Novichok, and that means most likely it was the Kremlin, that's why I give it a lot more credibility that it was Germany saying this. And so there's not much more in this article, but it does talk about, let's have a look. The EU last month extended for a further 6 months sanctions targeting Russia's financial, energy, and defense sectors. They were originally imposed in 2014 after Russia's annexation of the Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula. The US expanded sanctions in December, adding 15 members of the Russian military. The new Democrat majority in the House of Representatives, incensed by allegations of collaboration between President Trump's campaign and Russian lobbyists, is preparing congressional hearings on Trump's alleged ties. So I think we've seen that play out. Nothing much really happened there. A particular focus of theirs was Trump's ire is that a typo? I don't know. Is the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, which by supplying Germany with Russia's gas directly under the Baltic Sea, will cut Ukraine out of a lucrative transit fees, even as it fends off Russia-backed insurrection in its east. So, what we can see from this is that there were good relations at some point with Russia trying to bypass Ukraine to supply Germany with oil and gas, essentially. And so what we can learn from this article is the fact that Germany has a lot of credibility here, purely because they're not a country that beefs with anyone anymore. Post World War II, they don't really start fights with anyone. I was skeptical with the Skripal situation purely because I didn't think there was much reason to do this. To do the poisoning, especially in a World Cup year where a lot of press would be on Russia. But now, I realise I was stupid, because what Putin's doing here is saying like, you guys go against us, boom, this is what's going to happen to you, Novichok. You're not going to die, but you're going to get poisoned and your life is going to be peak. And that's what's happened. That's what happened with the Skripal family. People thought they were going to die, essentially. I don't think they did die in the end. It's been a while since I've read about this. But, what we can see from this situation is, this guy here, Alexei Navalny, was poisoned. And so, and according to Germany, it was a Novichok. So that can only point to the Kremlin. Just like when Bonsor Salman killed Jamal Khashoggi, all eyes pointed to the top. Only a certain person with the highest of levels in a government can order such an attack to happen. And in Russia, a country that is, an oligarchy, where power resides at the top, it's not a surprise this has happened. Because if someone undermines Putin and does this, they'll get straight kicked out. They might even get killed for it. Put in jail. So we know that hasn't happened since the Skripal incident. So most likely that means it can only happen from Vlad. And so this is the situation right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.